What's up, guys? Hey, we're here on Island Talk with Nico Holst. I'm here with Dan and Dylan. Dan, what's up?
Oh, not too much. What's up with you, Nico?
Not a lot. Just finished a fantasy basketball draft just seconds before the podcast. Been playing some Halo 5. Just chilling. It's my day off, so relaxing. Dylan, what are you up to? Did you put some pants on?
I did not put pants on.
All right. Well, just no standing up on the podcast then. I think the fans don't need to see what I had to see.
Live tweet what you think's in my glass, and if you win, I'll send you a sweatshirt.
Wait.
Live.
What's the sweatshirt? What's the sweatshirt you're sending them?
Are you just gonna pick one out of Garbage Mountain or?
Actually, yes. Yeah. Guess what I'm drinking? I'll send you a sweatshirt. Just DM me your address.
And your social and your credit card numbers. Yeah, and tweet at me what you think I had to see when Dylan stood up. It should be pretty easy. It was his idol. So with that, we're doing a little bit of a special podcast today. As I said on the Periscope, if you saw the Periscope earlier today, I gave a little bit of info on why we switched it up. It was mostly just because there were some spoilers in terms of the medevac this week. And so just to keep it fair, we decided we would just skip the power rankings for a week and head back to it next week. So we will be back on the power rankings next week. But this week we thought it would be a little bit fun to try to mix it up a little bit. So I changed the title of the podcast from just special podcast to the title. Dylan just had a heart attack on the podcast. We've just made television. We made podcast history. This is Island Talk, the top 10 players of all time. All time. These rankings will be flawed.
Probably.
So, They will be for sure. So Dan and Dylan created some top 10 rankings for us today. You guys each have your own top 10, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
I didn't know if you guys worked together or something. We kind of just came up with this, was it this morning?
We had talked about it this weekend and last week, and we really finalized what our topic was going to be. So we did a pretty
once
easy
we determined that the top 10 Survivor racks of all time would be a bit of a not well-received podcast, we moved on to some more civil, appropriate podcasts.
I digress. I think it'd be one of the most well-received podcasts of our time.
And I did all that research. I did all that research for nothing, guys.
For nothing.
All for nothing.
I know.
So many Google image searches.
I did some hands-on researching as well. So
I feel like there was a lot of Jerry Manthe, Jenna and Heidi, Krista Hasty.
Dan got it. What's up?
Dylan, what was your hand on?
His idol. So,
no comment.
Drink break.
Drink break already. Yeah, I gotta have to start drinking now.
Yeah.
So right now, so we'll just jump into the podcast. So we're doing the top 10 players of all time per Dan and Dylan.
Yeah.
The one great thing about being the host is I don't have to do that crap. And you guys are just going to get blasted, and I just going to sit here and watch it.
Well, you could have, but I think you chickened out a little bit.
Oh, I could have, but
yeah.
I was playing Halo 5 instead.
Shots fired.
Didn't really care. I didn't really care. So speaking of shots fired, we got a comment already from our friend Josh.
Oh my god!
And it says, "Is it true that this podcast is to give Dylan a break from getting his ass whipped by Dan in the power rankings?" You know what, Josh? That is the actual reason we're trying to save face with Dylan a little bit. We had to come up with an alternative reason, but that is in fact true. Dylan's been pretty embarrassed. He's been crying a lot in our group Skype calls.
Josh, you're the reason I drink.
Dylan's mom actually phoned me the other day and told me to take it easy on her son, so this is what we're doing.
Was that the reason that you were talking to Dylan's mom?
Other reasons, but that came up.
Yeah, we call it mom here in the United States, bro.
Mom.
we don't say no mum.
Mom. Mom's the word.
I ain't got mum to say about that.
And so one more thing before we get into the podcast. I usually do this at the end of the podcast, but because I confirmed this right before the show, I was texting with our guest for Thursday, and it will be our first repeat guest. That is right. Dan Foley will be coming back on the show Thursday night, so we will be doing another late show on Thursday. It'll be a 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific time show.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. So it'll be another late podcast, so we can work with Dan. We were texting today. We locked it in. He's excited to come back on the show. He asked if I was a glutton for punishment. I told him, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be contacting him.
That'll give me time to prep my hair to take an hour. So.
Dylan, I think you have no choice but to dress up as Dan Foley.
I can't. I already got a costume.
It doesn't matter. Well, you can do whatever you want for Halloween. I don't care about that. You just need to shave your face and dress up as Dan Foley. Even if it's for 5 minutes, just for the sheer Dan laughter. I mean, the Wisdom Pickle isn't going to hit him like he did last time. So if we can hit him with a complete Dan Foley impersonation, that'll be a great shot at the podcast. So it's going to happen. Just accept it and move on. All right, so let's get into the podcast. Who wants to give? Do we want to do this number
10-1?
10-1.
No,
okay.
10-1. Yeah.
All right. So anyone who's watching live right now, Josh asks, is Dylan drinking piss?
Josh,
send him the sweatshirt.
Send him the sweatshirt. He got it.
Got it.
Ben also messaged us on YouTube saying can't make it. Sorry, can't make it Thursday or can't make it now because I wasn't expecting me to make it now. If you can't make it Thursday, that's unfortunate. But if you can for a little bit, we'd love to have you on here, Ben. Obviously, since you are one of our boys.
We should have a new segment called "Guess Where Ben's Gonna Broadcast Next," and we can take a poll before the. And then Ben can broadcast there.
Ben can broadcast from wherever he can. Yeah.
A bed and breakfast.
A bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
I say from Arrowhead Stadium, New York Giants.
I was going to guess Sunday school room, but he already used that one. So I'll have to think of one throughout the show and drop it at the end. If anyone's watching, leave us some comments on YouTube. Tweet us at Twitter. Yeah, tweet at one of us. You can tweet us directly. You can tweet the Island Talk, or even if you want to shoot us a message on the email, you can do it at islandtalk@gmail.com or wnh@gmail.com. You can also, if you join the chat here, we have the Q&A open here, which I do monitor throughout the show. So if you join the chat live via Google Hangouts, we can answer your questions there as well. Otherwise, let's just get the show on the road. We got 4 viewers, so let's please these 4 viewers the best that we can do. Who wants to go first? Who wants to give their number 10 best player of all time? Or do you guys want to talk about really quick before we get into it, what you guys were ranking your players based on? Dan, do you want to kind of give an idea of how you ranked your players?
Sure. I definitely put in the first time they played up there. I held that more into consideration than return appearances because players who play the first time, that's really who they are going into the Survivor. And then you have a chance to grow on return appearances. So yeah, I do have a couple returning players on this list, and it's made up primarily of winners as well. I realize that, but I don't know. I was looking for people who kind of either controlled the action a lot or played dominant games in at least 2 out of 3 aspects of Survivor, which is social, strategic, and physical.
Okay. And Dylan, how'd you set up your rankings?
Yeah, so I mainly looked at winners. One non-winner does make it on my list, but that's the only one. So we'll have to wait and see who that is. And I looked for the way they played their game, the strength of their season they won, how they played, if they could have played a different way and done better maybe, or if this was the best way that they could have played. And they had little flaws in their game. I think me and Dan are going to have very similar lists. I think it's just a little maybe out of order. So that's where the debate comes in really on what makes a better winner and what makes a better survivor. So it wasn't personally, it wasn't based on any favoritism in terms of players. It was strictly based on how they did in the game and how they got to the end and how they won.
Okay.
But there is the personal bias, so
there is
a little bit personal bias because I think it factors in.
Yeah, I was saying that's always going to factor in. Josh says, Dylan, you better dress up as Dan Foley Thursday. And Ben says it is, in fact, Thursday that he will not be able to join us. So, Dylan, you should get your friend. And,
Ooh.
yeah, exactly.
I'll talk to him. He was a big fan of the part of the half hour of the Dan Foley podcast we watched together.
That's what I'm saying. So let's make that happen. So who wants to go first? Who wants to give their number 10? Watching Dylan's rankings be flawed, says Josh. Yeah, they're gonna be. So let's just let Dylan go. Dylan, let's give us your number 10.
My number 10 is coincidentally Russell Hantz.
Oh.
That was totally not planned. That is just the beauty of live broadcasting. Dylan, explain it.
As I discussed last week, Russell Hantz is one of my favorite survivors of all time. I thought he was super entertaining to watch, and just like the plays, but he's never won. And I do have him higher than some survivors who have won the game. In fact, I have him higher than 20 or 21 survivors who have won the game. But I think that he's been a runner-up twice, or a second runner-up if you look at it like that. But poor Jerry management hurts him. He couldn't win the game, even though most people do agree he should have won Samoa. Or a very bitter jury, and he couldn't overcome that. So that's a flaw in the game, in his game.
Loud.
In his game. So I do like Russell. The idol finding, people say, oh, he had idols, he shouldn't. No, that's not that good. Well, that's part of the game now. And he hunted for idols. Now, yeah, tinfoil hat time. Did production give him the idols? I don't think so. I think that's a lawsuit waiting to happen if that was true. So yeah, he just like Tony played harder and went for his idol. So did Russell. So and in the modern game, some of the first times we've seen majority alliance crumble to a minority. I believe it was 8-4. If I'm remembering correctly. So
you're correct.
That was crazy, and we have to say Russell spearheaded that effort. People argue Natalie had a part in it, which he did, but Russell, with the idols, with his conversations with other players, I really feel like he was a very large part of that as well, and deserves a lot of the credit. So yep, Russell comes in at 10. Sorry I couldn't put him higher, but he hasn't won. So.
No, I agree. I think he's someone he's a good part to have in the top 10. Both seasons he played, he was a total bulldozer. And that ends up costing him in both games. He probably, I don't want to say for sure that he should have in fact won Samoa. He definitely played the best strategic game, but you can't crap on Natalie's social game. Not that we saw much of her social game or really anyone's game in that season besides Russell and Shambo. No, he was definitely a big player in that game. The way he went after idols, the boldness that he has in both of his seasons, especially in that vote, in the vote off where he basically convinces Tyson to vote himself off in Heroes vs. Villains. The kahunas that he has in that tribal council. To give it to Parvati, knowing that he could go home if it doesn't play out the right way. The dude's got balls, if nothing else. We got a little bit of feedback, Dylan, on your first pick.
Oh, God.
Ben says, wow, not Monica? No, not Monica.
She sucks ass.
And Josh says Cesternino just got snubbed. So...
Yeah.
Dan, do you want to give your number 10?
Yep. I think me and Dylan's rankings are actually going to be a little different because I got maybe someone you're kind of surprised to see in the top 10. I got Vecepia from Marquesas. And now let me plead the case here. In my opinion, Vecepia is the second best under-the-radar Survivor player of all time. I'll get to the best, and she's further down. But what she does in her season, I think we kind of see somewhat throughout Survivor history, but I think it's truly a unique story and a unique way that she played. I feel Vesepia's greatest strength was no one saw her as a threat in any of the areas. And yeah, you could say maybe that's not really playing the game, but Vecepia did play the game, and I think she did it in very subtle ways, and I think that's what makes her so brilliant as a player. You know, in that first swap, V is the one out of that Rotu, not Rotu. What was the other tribe, Nico and Marquesas?
Oh, good lord.
Okay, the other tribe. She was the first out of Sean, Rob,
Maramu.
herself.
You had no idea what tribe she's even on?
Maramu tribe.
Well, I forget the names, man.
The blue
No,
tribe.
It was
The
Roju
yellow
and
tribe.
Maramu tribe. Maramu. There you go.
But she shows great skill in that first swap. She's kind of the first one to ingratiate herself to John Carroll and the Rotu 4. And then come the merge, she's nowhere near being fired at, and she's in a great position to switch the game up. She's a key part in the fall of John Carroll, the fall of the Rotu 4. And then we see a really savvy game buyer in the final 5. She loses Sean, her tightest ally throughout the game, and she somehow still gets to the end. Great deal cutting with Nalia. I don't know, I love her game. I don't know why I love Vecepia so much, but there's something about that game that she played that I think is really brilliant.
I think my response on Twitter definitely it helps explain why you're so high on Vecepia.
I think he's just implying that you're high in general.
Did you get my tweet, Nico?
I retweeted.
I think to not acknowledge how good of Vecepia is to kind of turn your eye to one way to play the game, which is staying out of people's crosshairs, more of a gentle manipulation. I don't know. It might not be the flashiest Russell Hantz-like game, Dylan, but I think it won. It won.
It does. It does win. And
you're saying Vecepia did not play like Russell Hantz? We got some controversy here on the podcast.
My response to Dan's pick is that Dan's right. Vecepia is probably underrated as a player, as a winner. But that, in and of itself, does not mean she's the top 10 best player of all time. I think
I got her at 10.
Well, and we got a little feedback, too.
I'm just saying,
when you're done, Dylan.
It shouldn't be, there's been a lot of players winners who have played like that and won the game. How about Bob? Bob has played a similar game to that. Had all his allies voted out, got himself in good graces with the majority, and then won the game. How about, JT?
Different games.
Maybe not the best example, but, still, had it, came in at a minority, played under the radar, let the other two tribes, or let the other tribe tear itself apart, and then won the game on a 7-0 vote. I mean, I'm just saying, there's been other players who have played like that. Vecepia doesn't have to be the top 10 worthy. But I digress.
I was gonna say, let's get into some of the feedback we got from the audience. Rob's Taboo Buzzer replied to Dylan as well as Dan, saying, "Hi AF." I think we know what the AF is, and says Danny over V #Buzz. I'm assuming he's talking about Danny Boatwright.
Yeah.
Also, Josh on Twitter or on YouTube left 2 pieces. Dan, you're the man, but Vecepia, come on. Also, Vecepia top 20, yes, but top 10, no. And Ben, our good friend Ben, he says, yes, Dan, I agree.
Thank you, Ben.
So
Thank you, Ben.
You have Ben on your side.
I made the best case I could for her. I tried.
You make very valid points, but those aren't points for a top 10 worthy spot. Might be points for a top 20, top 30 worthy you mentioned, but not top 10. I had trouble narrowing down to 10 if Vecepia wasn't in the top 20 for me.
And I did too, and I cut some really good players just so I could acknowledge Vecepia's game. I think it's just different, Dylan. It's not a flashy game. It's not meant for TV. I know I kind of forgot about Danny here, but I kind of think Vecepia played more of a social game than Danny did, and Danny.
What about Tina? What about Tina Wesson in season 2?
But Tina was in control within that dominant alliance for most of the season, right?
Yeah, she was, but you could argue that control and having that much control and getting someone to take the wrong person to the finals outweighs what Vecepia did.
I know, but Dylan, there's cases we can make for everyone. It's just I feel Vecepia just stands a little out in her one-time appearance playing the game. I let you go on the Russell Hantz, who didn't even make. Oh, he made my honorable mentions, but
I only have
number
one.
10.
I only have
Yeah.
one honorable mention, but yeah.
I have one non-winner on my list, and I'm really surprised you forgot about them. I'm
I
really
I
surprised.
probably didn't forget about them. I probably just didn't think they were good enough. All right,
Yeah.
we can move on.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on. One last tweet. It's from Ben as well. Not a tweet, but a YouTube comment. Dylan, stop hating on Dan. No, we love the hate. We love the hate.
Yeah.
Dan's got to get some hate at some point. It can't all be on Dylan.
Yeah, I get too much love. I get way too much love for
We
this
gotta,
podcast.
we gotta
so.
spread the usage around.
Where's my
Yeah.
phone? My buddy.
so,
I'm gonna text my buddy and tweet at Dan. He probably has more Canadian questions for him. He's like Dan's like a specimen to him that he wants to understand and explore further.
examine and prod at. All right. So Dylan, do you wanna wait and let Dan do his number 9?
Yeah, I'll text my buddy and have him tune in.
All right. So Dan, you wanna give your number 9?
All right, number 9. Maybe I'll get bashed for this. I think this is more in line. I got Todd Herzog at number 9.
Yeah,
Winner
that's what I'm
from
talking
Survivor
about.
China.
That's what I'm
I
talking
think,
about.
yeah, one of the better social strategic players to play the game. Probably, you can't really even, I'll say it is the best final tribal council performance of all time. That guy weaved magic there in front of everybody. And that's how you're supposed to treat jurors. You need to make them feel like he made John Rivera feel. I think,
Speechless.
yeah, the only flaw in Todd's game was people knew he was a snake. He was a little too transparent in that regard. And that kind of got him targeted, but it did him great favors once he got to the end because people knew he was playing a snaky game. He was transparent enough that they didn't feel that betrayed by him. They felt more like he outplayed them, and that's the way you should try to make the jury feel instead of emotional and resent you. I think Todd really shows you how you can play a very hands-on deceptive game and keep the jury on your side at the same time.
I mean, I can definitely say I'm all about the Todd Herzog pick. As a Todd Herzog fan, he's definitely my favorite guy. So I will throw no shade at the Todd Herzog pick at all.
Neither will I like the pick.
Okay.
All right.
Good
All right.
pick, Dan.
Let's see if we got anything on the YouTube thread. See if we get any shade for number 9. Josh and Ben, they both saying Todd is awesome, and yes, Todd loved Todd's game. So it looks like they're back on your side, Dan. Looks like you're slowly winning the fans back.
I never really lost them.
Nah, probably not. You know, you gotta take a little crap from time to time, but let's be real. You bring in the fans, you bring in the people. We're all just witnesses to your greatness. You're like the LeBron of the show.
I'm Andrew Wiggins.
You're Andrew Wiggins. Oh yeah, I guess we'll let you have your Canadian.
Fuck yeah, Andrew Wiggins, legit.
Yeah, Josh says Dan just made up for his lackluster number 10 pick.
Thank you, Josh.
So it's a little backhanded compliment there. All right, so we got 6 viewers now. What's up with that? Yeah. All right, Dylan, do you want to give us your number 9?
Yeah, all right. So this is my one of 2 controversial selections, I believe, that might garner some debate and hate. Brian Heidik.
Ooh,
Iceman, yeah.
No controversy here.
All right, nice. Yeah, dude was a psycho. Yeah, like Nico said, the Iceman. He was there to fucking win, and he did. He at one point forgot Sheehan's name. I don't know if you guys, yeah, he was so didn't care about her as a person at all. He just needed her vote, and he's like, yeah, whatever that whatever her name is voting for us. What else? Sin Jong or Soup or something like that.
It's been a while.
Just some weird variations of Sheehan's name. She's voting with us. And that's where you could tell that he was fucking crazy. But I mean, he was good. He convinced everyone that they were going to end with him, and that he was going to, that they had a chance to beat him. kept his people in line. Nobody flipped. They eliminated the other tribe. He was basically the leader. One of the most dominating performances of the first 10 seasons of Survivor.
Well, I think he kept people in line because he probably told the story about what he does to dogs when they don't behave.
That did not.
He thought it was a wolf. He thought it was a wolf.
It does not factor into my my rankings.
Ben, we got a comment from Ben saying, "Oh my, what an awful pick. He was not a very good winner." Josh comment saying, "Finally, Dylan gets something right."
Who said that?
Dylan or Josh.
Oh, thank you, Josh.
So I think that's the first positive comment that Josh has left in Dylan's favor. So you might win him over. I mean, you'll probably lose him by the end of the show, but at least for a moment, you've got him on your side. I don't think we've got anything else in terms of questions for number 9. I'll refresh one more time. Otherwise, we can jump into our number 8. So let's jump into number 8. Dylan, who is your number 8 player of all time?
Todd. It's Todd.
Oh, there you go, Todd.
I had him at 9, but I felt that he deserved to be higher considering that Brian barely beat Clay in the final tribal council. And I think Todd's FGC performance garners that 1 rank bump for where I originally had him. Because did he win 7-0? I can't exactly. I'm blanking on that.
No, he did not.
Okay.
Todd did not. I believe Amanda and Courtney both got votes, if I remember correctly. I'll go look it up right now.
Yeah. So and he did a very, like Dan already explained. He played a very good season. It was actually a fairly competitive season too in terms of players around him. Like I don't think there was that many weak players. I mean, John Robert and James, even though they went early, they were fighters. PG, a fighter, and I think he went to the end with the right people. So he got himself in a good strong alliance, and that was good.
All right. So looking at, he won 4-2-1. Todd had 4, Courtney had 2, Amanda got 1 vote.
Okay.
So yeah, and a 7-person jury, he won 4-2-1. So no, like I said, no disagreements there with the Todd pick. Like I said, Todd's probably one of my top 3 favorite players of all time. So anytime Todd gets some love, I'm gonna love it. It doesn't look like there's anything in terms of feedback from the fans so far.
Oh, I do have a guest question. It's my buddy Justin this time, who's actually watching with my other buddy Sam.
All right, I will allow it.
His question is, if you could sleep with any Survivor contestant from any
Oh
season,
my God,
who would it
changed
be?
my mind.
Yeah, Nico, you take a bigger drink, buddy.
Oh my God, I'm gonna need something harder than this if I'm gonna make it in this podcast. Which is what I would say if I was going to talk to the Survivor that I would. All right, anyway. So,
who's going first?
Not me.
Nico, you're married. You get exempt from this question.
Oh, am I? Good, because
Yeah.
That's a tough question. It's really tough.
I'm gonna
That
say
is
Joe.
tough.
I'm just gonna say Joe. I'm gonna give out a guy. I'm gonna say
Can
Joe. He's beautiful.
Can I give a guy and a girl?
Sure, why not?
All right, we gotta make it fair.
All right, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and go.
All right. Okay. For my guy, Marty Piombo. I'm into the goatee. I like older men. Dylan, you come up with the women, because I'm gonna have to think about mine for a second.
I mean, there's been a lot of
Too much
very
about Marty.
attractive. I'm gonna go Chelsea from One World.
Chelsea.
I think that's a good pick, right?
I don't think it's a bad pick. I don't think you can say Chelsea's ever a bad pick.
No, I think that's like when I thought of it just now. I was like, who am I gonna pick? That's what came to my head. So I'll pick Chelsea.
I'm going old school. Kelly Goldsmith, Survivor Africa.
Not bad.
She seems like she would be fun.
I
And
would
Tiny,
say-
yeah, Tiny
Go
Kim
ahead.
Tiny Kim from Africa would be up there for me as well.
I would say Kim Powers,
Yeah, who's now married to that fucker from Amazon.
Alex Bell.
Yeah, Alex.
Yes, I would. So I will throw one out as the woman who I would take out on a very professional and classy date.
Okay.
And Angie from Survivor Pulao.
From Survivor Plow. I thought you were going to say from Survivor Philippines. And I was going to say, yeah, you know me so well. But that was not my pick. I'm going to go with what 13-year-old me would say. And I was thinking I remember when Survivor Vanuatu. And it's not who you're thinking. It's not Julie Berry.
Is that
No, I was
fucking
thinking
is that
Twyla
fucking
Tanner.
the old lady who had Lisa who had the lime green bikini? Is that
No,
Lisa?
I'm talking Dolly for her 2 episodes. I thought Dolly was hot stuff when I was about 13, 14 when that came out.
Also, Dan, my friends think it was weird. You knew immediately what guy you'd bang.
Hey,
No hesitation.
I'm comfortable enough that I entertain these thoughts now and then.
Josh in the feedback says Dylan would sleep with Jillian from Gabon in her elephant dung.
The real question is, who's gonna sleep with us?
No one.
Nobody.
Well, I'm married, so
Nobody.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh says Todd 1421. Yep, thanks, Josh. We got that. Who else? Ben says James went early. No, he didn't. He made Final 7. You know what? But that went early as in he didn't make Final 6. So that's what you get, Ben. Do not sass us. Nothing. No feedback on Twitter. Who did you just get? Dan, did you give your number 8? I've forgotten at this point.
No. We went off track.
We did. I was trying to keep track of them and mark them down, and I completely lost track. So, trying to get back onto the track. Dan, let's get your number 8 greatest player of all time.
All right. Well, this is going to be another one where either you're with me or you're against me. At number 8, from Survivor Fiji, I got Earl Cole.
Oh, I thought we were going with Edgardo.
Yeah. I don't know. Dylan's pretty emotionless over there, so I can't tell if he agrees with me or not.
He's putting on his best Earl Cole face.
Yeah, his best. All right, Earl Cole to me is a very fascinating player. I know he didn't know much about Survivor coming into the game, very little, and he kind of shows how you can play the game as a recruit, and without knowing like that much about what you're actually doing, he kind of grasped it right away. I feel like you saw a really good social player who thought out his moves probably better than anyone on a season. The only knock to Earl is I don't think he was playing with the greatest minds out there. Well, you got Yawman on that season. Dreams, you know, he's playing with Boo. He's playing with
Edgardo, Alex.
The Four Horsemen. Not the strongest season, but I think Earl's the type of player, if you put him on any season, I think he does well. And he might not necessarily win every time, but I think he's always knocking on the door. I think he's just someone who can shift his game as well. We didn't really see him have to shift it much in Fiji, but I just think like he seemed like a very flexible roll with the punches type of player who was able to control the action. He had a big hand in most of the moves in that game. And I think the way he handled his getting to the final 3 and his final 5 setup was really good. He used Yawman as a great shield, and people just kind of forgot about him. So yeah, Earl Cole at number 8, love it or you hate it.
And at least from the only feedback that we've received so far from Josh, he says Earl's a great pick. He played an amazing social game. So Josh is all aboard. Dan are all about. He's all back with you.
Yep.
You want him back quick.
Just my comment on this. So Earl will not be appearing in my rankings, so spoiler. But I don't.
You only like flashy, sexy players, Dylan.
I do. Well,
exciting.
You might be. I do like Flash, but you might be surprised at some players that made it into the list that it's not. But no, I mean, Earl was in consideration. I definitely had him. He was chopped pretty early. Of my I felt the players he played against, not high caliber.
No, not really.
So, but he did win 7-0, so that's a plus for him. Yeah, I do respect his game. I would probably say maybe 15 on my list, probably 15. I also do tend to favor somewhat 2-time players. just because we got to see them play twice and see how can they repeat what they did the first time. And so it's a little, we'll see. I like the pick. I don't mind it. I'm okay with your reasoning behind it.
Okay.
Even though now I say that, I realize I have like 6 one-time players on my list, so
Yeah.
it's half the list, but whatever.
That's all right. No one's holding you accountable except for Josh. So Dan, let's jump into the number 7 ranks. Who do you have as the number 7 greatest player of all time?
We've already talked about this guy, and Ben, bring on the hate. I got the Iceman, Brian Heidik. I don't see why he's not one of the greatest players / winners of all time. This guy basically checked his emotions at the door. If Will,
you're assuming he had emotions to check at the door, though.
That's true. But if Will, the Dr. Will is the robot with circuitry under flesh and skin, then Brian Heidik's our survivor equivalent, I think. That guy showed how you play the game with zero emotion invested, and it's business. He talked about it, famous quote, it's a business trip. I think Ben doesn't like him because Brian's not very, I wouldn't say, Brian's entertaining, but he's,
society.
Yeah, I think Ben kind of leans towards more the nicer people, more the fan favorites, so I could see why Ben doesn't really hold him. And, yeah, well, I like the brothers and the sisters too, Nico, but I got a few of them ranked on my list. But, yeah, I like Brian too. There's a room for him on the list. He's a great player.
All right, and apologies to everyone out there who just saw this white man throw up gang signs. Please do not come to my hood and shoot me.
You have a hood.
I have a hood on my sweatshirt, actually. I can't put it over my head because of this giant-ass pair of headphones on my head. But I do have a hood. Woo! Please, if Woo is in this, I will kick you both off the podcast.
Yeah. Wait, who said that?
That was me. I don't know. That was me, actually. We have one comment from Deb Sappy on YouTube, and it says, yes, Brian. Yes, Brian is on both of their feeds. Both made both their lists, so getting some love for the Brian Heidik pick.
Hey, and a new commenter,
and
Deb.
A new commenter, Deb.
Welcome to the party, Deb.
Nice to know that women watch our show. Also, nice to know that women won't be watching the show after watching the show.
Yeah. Tell all your friends why we suck.
Yes, exactly. So, Dylan, do you want to go into your number 7?
Yeah, I'll do my number 7, and then I have another question texted into me.
All right.
Number 7 is Tony.
Tony the Block.
Yeah. I'm giving Tony some love. I think of the modern of the last 10 seasons. Oh my God! I had someone today I was gonna put on my list and I forgot. Ah, shit! But he'll get an honorable mention. So.
Wait, did you just remember that in the moment?
Yeah. So he'll get an honorable mention. But yeah. I'm rattled. Tony played one of the best games of the modern era. Just completely manipulated everyone. It was basically bulletproof. He did have 2 idols, but as Spencer made the case at the Final Tribal Council, he worked hard to get those idols. He played harder than anyone else that season, and he deserves the title Sole Survivor, and he deserves to be number 7 on this Power Rankings list.
I think he deserves much better.
Let's see what we got in the feed. We've got one from Mr. Josh saying Dr. Will is effing amazing. Dan knows his BB. Yes, he does. He does know his BB. All these comments are all mixed up now. They're not in order, which is making this incredibly confusing for me to track.
Is he talking about back bacon? Because I think you guys refer to it as Canadian bacon down there. So
yeah, I think that's what he is.
Yes, I do know my back bacon, Josh.
Josh also comments and says, Dylan, you just want me back with your Tony pick. So really starting to win Josh over.
Yes.
Dylan. Winning him over, so...
I'll forgive him about the piss comment earlier.
Oh, I wouldn't. I would hold it. I'd hold the grudge. I'd hold it against him. So I will now say, with proceeding caution, Dylan, what is the question from your friend? I'm assuming no good is going to come from this.
No, it's not that bad. It's interesting. If you had to choose, this is from Justin. If you had to choose two contestants to get married and foster raise your own child, who would it be and why?
What? All right. Let me think here.
Oh my gosh. Two.
Can I pick Marty Piombo and Kelly Goldsmith?
I mean,
Oh
you
my
could.
gosh. Okay, Dylan, you go next because I've got an idea of something, but I'll let you go before me.
I'm thinking so.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm trying to think. So I think what we need to decide is that okay, so the woman has to be Shambo. And Shambo, I think Shambo is going to marry Vince Sly.
Wow.
You're from Seattle. You're radical. You're radical as hell.
You're trusting your child in Vince and Shambo's hands?
No, my child's gonna die, but I'm gonna have like a video camera, like set up in the household, and while the child survives, and while I wait for one of them to murder the other, it's gonna be a phenomenal television, and I'm all about good TV.
Oh, okay. So you're producing a reality show out of it.
Basically, I'm converting this into a reality show.
Well, that's good business.
Exactly. I'm trying to think of a name for it. Something about, I don't know. I got nothing. Sly Shambo, Sly Waters.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I can. I'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
Web Sappy says on Probe's top 10 list also. I'm assuming she's talking about Brian or Tony.
I have my two. I think I would do Terry Dietz, obviously Terry Dietz, and Denise Napley, Survivor Philippines.
That'd be good, well-rounded parents there.
Good, well-rounded parenting right there.
All right.
Man, you don't want your kid to have any fun.
I got my parents down. The wife is Courtney Merritt. I want my child to have a free spirit and
live in a shitty apartment.
Generally fly like a bird. And you guessed it. Foster father Shane Powers. Yeah. He's gonna be the best kid ever.
I mean, your child's probably gonna die from arson, but I mean,
I'm gonna have a straight shooter who's comfortable with who he is, and that's all you can ask for in this world. Love yourself, people.
Straight shooting, as in drugs in the veins from her mother.
Well, that too.
Mother.
All enlightened people are drug addicts of some form.
And that's why we love you, Dan. I didn't say we were drug. All right, we went a little dark there. Okay, let's get back into the drug conversation.
Hey, you brought it there, Nico. You brought it.
And I'm bringing it right back out.
Requiem for a Survivor. Here we go.
Deb Sappy says Tony. Jeff hates Brian. Okay, so she was talking about Tony and Jeff Probe's top 10 list, and I believe Rob's Taboo Buzzer tweeted at us as well. So I got disconnected briefly, but both of these players are way too low at Tony Vlachos.
Don't worry, I'll make you happy.
This was in reply to the number 7 players of Brian and Tony in general. I've been tweeting out your guys' picks as you've been doing them. So that was in a reply to your number 7 pick, saying they're both too low. So who just went? Dylan, you just went, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, so Dylan, let's get your number 6 pick.
And number 6 pick is Kim Spradlin. One World.
Kim.
Controversy, maybe. People might say I were ranked too low.
Yeah. I think you have her ranked extremely, extremely, extremely low.
She played a bunch against a bunch of dumbasses, so that factored into my whole thing. She played a really good game. Like, she's top 6 of like how many players in Survivor history? So
over 400.
Yeah, so it's like, one of the best winners of all time. Obviously, top 6 winners of all time in my opinion. I want to see I gotta see her play again. I gotta see her play again to really understand. Can she beat real players? I know people will disagree with me on this one, but
She wasn't playing against mirages out there, Dylan. She was playing against real players.
Well, yeah, Tarzan, Leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jonas?
Jonas, yeah.
yeah, such a great player.
Alicia Rosa, come on.
Christina Cha.
Yeah, come on.
Cat Ederson.
Survivor Legends.
It's not hard to fool fools. So
Forget Survivor Legends. We just need to recast Survivor One World, and we've got it.
but yeah, she was good. She was good physically. She was good socially. She was good looking. I mean, it's a perfect package.
All right. Let's get Dylan off the package conversation. So Dan, let's jump into your number 6.
All right. The fact Dylan left this person off his power rankings is criminal. It's criminal. And because he says the rest are winners, so I have to assume this person's off, right, Dylan?
Yeah.
All right. I got the greatest non-winner of all time on my power rankings at number 6, Cirie Fields. How do you not, Dylan? I don't even need to defend her at 6. She could be even a little higher. But Cirie Fields is like probably the greatest social player to play the game. Underrated strategy-wise. Not the best physical player, but hey, who really cares? And I don't know, not a lot of people like to talk about it, but I really kind of count Micronesia not as a win, but kind of like a loss with an asterisk, because in her mind, Cirie Fields is playing for the final 3. And yeah, she kind of gets a raw deal, gets taken out. But in her head, she got the job done to get to the final 3. She was basing it on all the other seasons that just happened before it, like 4 in a row. So yeah, maybe I'm crying over spilt milk, but in my head, that's a little loss with an asterisk. And heroes versus villains, she kind of gets taken out by JT freelancing a bit. I think on the whole, you have a really well-established player with a great body of work that you can't really say, oh, she was playing against duds in Panama or whatever. I think she was playing against great players in all 3 seasons and kind of proved how good she is, especially in those first 2.
I don't know about that.
Again, Dylan doesn't like women, I think, either. He's not ranking many women on his power rankings.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's a sausage party. It's a sausage party.
I'm staying out of this one.
Whoa. Hey, I said I would have Denise Stampley raise my kid. No, all right.
Is she even an honorable mention, Dylan? Is she even an honorable mention?
Cirie, yes, she.
No, Denise is Denise.
Oh, no, but Cirie.
She is for me, and you'd have her raise your child. Well, that's a big slap in the face.
Wow, coming at me hard. No, Cirie was an honorable mention. She might be Oprah in a gangster, or she might be a gangster in an Oprah suit, but she's not making the top 10 of this power rankings. She's not a winner. She's not even a finalist. So
yeah.
I can't justify having her win the game. Just can't, or even be in top 10. I mean, sorry, can't justify her being top 10, let alone top 6 of all time.
Better than Russell Hantz.
She's a good social player. That's 1/3 of the game. Cool.
No, she's better than Russell Hantz. You had Russell Hantz at 10. She's a better player than Russell Hantz.
Russell Hantz was a 2-tool athlete in terms of Survivor.
So what do you say is better though? Being able to get to the finals with a chance to win, or getting to the finals with no chance to win?
Getting to the finals with a chance to win. That's what you
play the game for. Because Cirie never made it to the finals. So,
no, I said not making the finals.
I know.
But Dylan,
you'd have a chance to win. Or being Russell Hantz, where you can make the finals every time, but you'll never win. Or making it just outside the finals, where if you do sneak in, you will win.
Making the finals with no chance to win, I say.
Well, why do you play Survivor then, to lose? Is that
he's
why
not
you
trying
play
to lose. If you
why would you choose that? Of course you want a chance to win.
That's why it's a loaded question. You're assuming he has no chance to win. That's an unfair characterization of Russell's game. Second time he played, probably no chance to win because he pissed off too many people. First time, that's not the case. So he's probably the greatest 2-time loser and made the final tribal council of all time.
According to the votes, he didn't have a chance to win because the jury wasn't going to give him the win.
But the first.
Can I just say, I'm really tired of the Russell should have won his first season argument. If he should have won it, he would have won it, people. It's a terrible argument to make. He alienated that whole jury and got none of their votes. He didn't win that season. He shouldn't have won that season. He sucks. He's not a good social player, and I just hate the Russell up. I love him as a character, but Russell Hantz isn't even close to the top 10. Get him in like 18 to 20 range.
No.
Woo!
Woo!
I'm fired up.
I knew the Suri part. I knew that probably. I actually didn't think. I mean, now that I see your rankings, I realized that they're bad. So I knew that I saw that coming out that Suri would be in them. But just kidding.
I think most people agree with me. Most people agree with me.
Well, let's see. What do the comments say? Do we have any comments?
Let's jump to the comments. So we've got Josh Musto, Kim Spradlin, way too effing low.
Yep.
Josh Musto, Suri Fields is another great pick for Dan. Loving this list. Ben,
thank you, Josh.
Ben, Suri should have won Fans versus Favorites. I agree with Dan's number 6.
Thank you, Ben.
On Twitter,
I actually know what's happening.
At Island Talk WNH, Amanda versus Russell, different styles that still can't win. # Buzz. I don't know where Amanda came in, but pretty much.
Similar player to Russell.
I will say that, Dylan, at least for the moment, nobody is on your side.
Thank you. Thank you, smart people.
Oh, my goodness.
People who watch the show.
This has been a fun podcast so far. I'm enjoying it. So we are through the first half of our top 10, and we have got some heat and some shade just flowing through.
That's what you want from this, though.
Exactly. I mean, if we're gonna mix it up, we want to have it be a fun show. So we're each at the top 5. Really quick. Again, if you're watching, keep leaving comments on the YouTube feed. Leave them in the Google Hangouts. Tweet at us at Island Talk WNH. We're on a roll right now. We're having fun with this. So keep messaging us, and we'll keep reading you as you feed it to us. So who just went? That was you, Dan. So you want to give your number 5.
All right, now I might get some hate for this one, for having this person a little low. I got Boston Rob at number 5. So yeah, Dylan, you probably got him at number 1, knowing you the way you rank players. So, am I right? Probably. So yeah, Boston Rob's at number 5. Again,
let's hear what you gotta say, bro. Let's hear what you gotta say.
First, like, again, remember, I waited the first time. You kind of weighted it differently. You wanted to see how people perform their second time. I put way much more stock in your first appearance on the show because that's how you're approaching the game for the first time. You haven't had a chance to experience it, and it's more of a level playing field to judge everyone based on that fact because everyone has played the game one time. Not everyone's played twice or 3 times or even 4 times. So that's why I got Boston Rob ranked a little lower. His first time playing the game, he gets taken out 10th. He shows a pretty good game in Marquesas, but you really get to see his game come to full circle in All-Stars. And yeah, you can make the argument like you did for Russell that he should have won, but again, you need to do a better job of making jurors happy. And he didn't do a good job. He really burnt Lex, and I feel like if he just handles Lex a little better, somehow placates him a spot or 2.
And Big Com, I think Big Com too. Big Com also.
Yeah, but I think even if you keep Lex not bitter, he sways a bitter Big Tom at 5. I think like Lex is kind of the linchpin, and his bitterness just kind of seeped through that jury. I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it a little bit, but I think like if he had just placated Lex a little bit more, I think that was where that game went wrong. And I don't know, in Heroes versus Villains, you see kind of a player who's not ready to play in the current era that he's in. He kind of neglects the idols. It kind of gets screwed over by a vote split gone awry with Tyson. And I think we just kind of see Russell one-up him a little bit and kind of show that Russell's kind of strategy-wise is playing the game a little better at that point. And then, you know, I think like Rob, in a 4th time, he plays a perfect game, right? And that's probably why people might rank him very high. But I got to go on the whole body of work here. And he's played 4 times, so you have to hold his first appearance as much as you do his fourth appearance. So that's why I kind of have him at 5. I think there's some flaws in his game that's been exposed in the 3 other times that he didn't win, and that's why he's at 5.
And we got a little feedback for you. So we got Ross Taboo Buzzer saying number 5 is perfect for Boston Rob. He didn't make the jury twice. Also, we got Josh saying, Dan, your ranking of number 5 is perfect, great player, but it took him 4 times to win. So the fans, they continue to agree with you, Dan. It's been a trend this entire evening. I can't imagine that it's going to change anytime soon, unfortunately for Dylan.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. We'll see. We still got 4 more picks, so you got plenty of time to crash and burn this thing. So Dylan, do you got any feedback on the Rob before you jump into your number 5?
I think I should go to number 5.
All right.
Which is actually Boston Rob.
Oh, well, there you go. We got
And I can and there's no revisionist going on. I have my edit log. I keep my picks on a Google Drive doc. So if there's any doubts, I can screenshot a pick if anyone is doubting me. But yeah, I have Boston Rob at 5 for the exact same reasons they ended. I'm actually not a big Boston Rob fan. 4 tries? Are you fucking kidding me?
I thought you had him for 1.
Hell no. 4 tries? That's way too many times to play Survivor. Like, as Rob's Taboo Buzz said, 2 times he didn't make jury. And, like in All-Stars, yeah, he was good. Bad management of the jury. Just bad. He probably should have won. People argue, but you can't win if it's every jury member. So yeah, and all right, no, I don't want any more Russell Hands talk. Like, I have a lot more to say about that, but I'm done with it. I'm over it. Like, I defend that at 10. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but yeah, like Rob unnecessarily pissed off jury members. I'm in All Stars, and but he did play a good game against a bunch of idiots in whatever it was, Redemption Island, one of the worst seasons of all time. So yeah, congrats, Rob. But He has left an impression on the game. A 2-time finalist, a 1-time winner. Got to respect that. Yeah, so Rob at 5, I think it's fair.
All right. Yeah, 5, Boston Rob, double time. We finally got some agreements on something. I'm glad you guys can agree about one thing. Ben says, let me pull up what Ben said because I lost it. Not really a Rob fan, but it's better than Rupert. I think we can all agree that Boston Rob is a better player than Rupert.
He's gonna hate my number 1.
I have a feeling if he's gonna hate it, I'm gonna have to cut you off before. If you got Rupert at number 1, we're gonna have to have a conversation before this podcast is over.
Who ranked me at number 1? Sorry, that's it. That's all I'll do.
Okay. We're done. All right, anyway. Oh, shoot. That's not correct. All right, let's jump into the number 4s. We are at number 4, correct? Yes,
Yep.
we are. We're at number 4, so let's do number 4. Dan, you just went. Well, no, you just went, Dylan. That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead and give your number 4.
I have maybe another controversial pick, but I really like this person. I think I've talked about them before. Chris Daughtry, number 4.
Yeah.
I know Josh says he's overrated, but
that's okay. I stand by you on this. I'm a big Chris fan.
Dan's dying over there. Chris Daughtry was electrifying. He was great. Like, he was in a minority, came back. He bullshitted the fuck out of that jury to the point where, like, he had them like tearing up. Like, he took a goat to the end. He played people off one another marvelously. And, like, yeah, all right, he got a very favorable edit, like, the last, 10 episodes of that season. In fact, he got a very favorable edit the whole season. But so that does kind of impact the way I view him as a player. But, like, he was a strategic mastermind and a social mastermind, too. Physically, yeah, he kind of really sucked. Except he did win. I love his victory at the Final Four immunity. Like, that's like one of the best moments in Survivor history, I think. It's like his reaction. So, Dan, you're chopping at the bit. I'll let you take a shot. Take your shot.
I don't know. I just don't have him as a top 10 player. Maybe, as you talk, I was kind of thinking about it, and I think I was more upset with the placement than with you having him in the top 10. I don't know if he's in the top 5. I would agree with more like 6 to 10, and he's in my honorable mentions. I just knew that you'd probably be really high on him, so I don't know. He's kind of borderline for me, but I do agree he's a great player. He's probably in the top 15.
Well,
For me,
and
at least.
I'd say the one thing against Chris is that he got himself out of that terrible situation where he was down with all the girls and stuff. But you have to remember that he was in that situation in the first place, and a lot of it was on him because he had those girls with Twyla and them, and the girls kind of got played back a little bit, and so he didn't play well enough at the merge, and to make those bonds as solid as he could have. Going into that before the girls picked all the guys off. So while I do love Chris, and it's one of the reasons I've watched Vanuatu multiple times, because of his improbable rally to the finals and to the win. I give him mad kudos for getting out of it, but he definitely dug his own grave. But I give him props for being able to get his way out of it.
We should call him the Grave Digger.
The Grave Digger. Well, I think James has that title pretty locked down. As the Grave Digger.
The original Grave Digger.
The original Grave Digger. Let's see if we got any feedback for you, Dylan. Let's see what the fans think, if they think anything. Oh, hey, guess what? Your number one fan, Dylan, Josh. How the hell is Chris a better player than Kim?
How's he better than Kim?
Yeah.
Well, let's look like this. Chris had a much bigger hole to climb out of, and we just talked about this. And I honor that perseverance more than Kim's easy ride. So yeah, Kim got to the end, didn't make any mistakes, didn't have to because she was playing with people who didn't have any chance. But Chris made mistakes. Chris made mistakes and was able to overcome those mistakes and win. He was able to pick up the pieces. And he was always in the minority. He was in a very low ranking spot where Kim was always on top. So I do value that Chris was able to overcome so much and win and convince that jury. I could not believe that jury voted for him. He fucked them all. Almost all of them, except for Sarge and Rory or whatever, or Sarge and not Rory. Whatever the fuck, one-legged dude, Scott, Chad, fucking Chad. Yeah, so and I don't know, obviously I had when I said I had bias in the rankings, yeah, Chris had to be in the top 10, and when I was ranked, Chris has to be top 4, just because the fact of him coming back is just weighs so heavily with me. I love a good underdog, and he was the ultimate underdog that season.
So I guess my question is that it seems like you're docking Kim for playing so well that she never had to dig herself out of a hole because she played so well from the beginning of the game, whereas Chris, found himself in a hole, and yes, he did dig himself out of the hole, and Kim didn't have to do that.
Congrats, Kim. Congrats, Kim. You got on good tribes every time the tribe sucked.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying, it's the luck of the draw. You can't really control that. You play the hand that you're dealt.
She never had to struggle in the early part of the game. She was never she formed a majority alliance. That's one thing that almost every player, half the players in Survivor can form a majority alliance and stick with it.
Well, I don't know if you watched Survivor. That seems to be a problem.
And I don't know if you watched One World close enough, because that's not all she did, and that's very, I don't know.
If you see her post tribe swap with all those guys, she's stringing those guys along hard, and convincing guys like Troyzan and
that's a good move. But those guys were dumb to believe she wouldn't go back to the girls. That's the way I see it.
But that's a credit to her.
Kind of like Chris was dumb to think those girls wouldn't go back to the girls. Oh.
And then he was able to flip them back.
So you're penalizing Kim for being perfect.
I'm penalizing Kim for playing with not having to struggle. Yeah, I am.
Oh, that's not her fault. Yeah, but Chris struggled because of his own faults.
No, right? He got fucked every time. He got fucked every time it switched. I'm just saying, he was on a bad tribe to begin with. They couldn't win. For some reason, those guys couldn't beat the girls. A lot of those challenges at the beginning, and he was a minority the whole time. I don't know, and his final tribal council is one of the best of all time. You have to give him that to be able to overcome those odds. You have to give him that.
I'm definitely not shooting down the fact that he overcame great odds and he had a phenomenal final travel. I'm just saying he had to have a final travel like that, and he had to overcome the odds like that because of his own faults. It was awesome that he was able to recover for them. I'm just saying, I think it's crazy to dock him for playing such a flawless game. But I digress. Let's see if we got anything in the comments from that little rant there. It's my noise I make. I've learned that. Kim mentally, strategically, and physically dominated absolutely everyone in that season. Well, yeah, I mean, when you're going up against Tarzan and Leaf, how could you not? Josh Musto, again, throwing shade at Dylan. So, yeah, let's jump into Dan's number 4. Let's give Dylan a little bit of a break there. He looks like
I do have another text-in question.
All right, let's get your question really quick.
Oh, sure. If you had to join a cult led by any survivor, which cult would you join?
Oh, it'd obviously be Coach.
And they also said, we're the number 1 fans. Fuck Josh.
Shots fired at Josh now. Wow.
We got Turf Wars coming on in the fandom. It's gonna be a bloodbath. I'm gonna say if I'm gonna join a cult, the only survivor cult that I'm aware of is Coach Ben Wade and his South Pacific cult. And if I get to go on any of these kind of crazy adventures that Coach is going on, I think that's a pretty fun cult. If I can go run from pygmies and have my testicles removed and surgically put back in, I'll get some great stories out of that.
That's allegedly.
Oh, it's not alleged. It's true. It's all true. Coach doesn't lie. He's an honest player. He said so himself.
Okay. For me, you guys missed the boat on this one. Johnny Fairplay. He seems like all he does still is drink and gamble and have a good time, and I love to do all of those. So, hey, let's join up with that cult.
And he also likes to buy merchandise and sell it for like double the price.
Hey man, as long as he's cutting me in, Nico. As long as he's cutting me in.
Yeah. What about you, Dylan?
I'm trying to think of a good one.
Monica.
How about Cowboy? The cult of Cowboy.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Think of all the dreams you could have.
Yeah.
That was it. All right. So. Nope.
Ah, shit, my piss water's gone.
Oh, God. All right, so, Dan, let's get your number 4.
All right, at number 4, I might get a little heat for this one, too. I got Parvati ranked at number 4. I'm going for, you go back to the first time you play, what is Parvati in her first season more than kind of, I don't know. She's kind of playing a social game. She's kind of with a few people. Yeah, but I don't know. There's not much there. And yeah, the second time she plays, that's a brilliant.
What are you saying, Dan? What are you saying? There's not much there.
Like gameplay wise.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought we were talking about. But anyway, let's keep going.
But it's first, second time she plays, great game. I think kind of the best player in that season is Cirie Fields, though. Dylan might disagrees wholeheartedly, but I think Cirie kind of gets robbed there with the final 2 out of nowhere. I don't think any of the players were even aware of that. So kind of chintzy win in my opinion, but you can't doubt great idol plays in hero versus villains as well, and she gets to the end in that one being a huge threat. I think Parvati, why I don't have her ranked in the top 3 is because I don't know, maybe I'm just tired of seeing her ranked in the top of player rankings.
Yeah,
I was like. Yeah, and I'm just I think I can make a case for these other 3 people, so I'm going to rank Parvati at 4. Not to say, she could be easily, I think, the top 5 to me are kind of interchangeable almost. But, yeah, I'm going to put her at 4. You might not like it, but I think, the first time she plays, there's not a lot there as a player, and she gets the benefit of really growing within the game of Survivor and becoming a really dominant player by the time of the end of her run. So yeah, I got Parvati at number 4.
Yeah, I can't really take too much hate towards Parvati. I like Parvati. She's definitely made some big moves in both fans versus favorites and also in heroes versus villains. You know, they had the big Aussie blindside, and then she's got the double idol play in heroes versus villains. So she definitely makes some big moves in her time. She wins one season. She gets second in heroes versus villains. So she definitely plays. A lot of people think that she should have won heroes versus villains over Sandra. We've talked enough about players that should or shouldn't have won. And I think a little bit of that on Heroes vs. Villains was less her fault and more of her association with Russell. And so, I mean, you could probably make more of a case for her than for Russell for having won that season. But, I mean, in the end, I think you just got to give it to Sandra and just deal with it. But, yeah, I mean, I got no hate towards Sandra. I was waiting until Dylan got back to read a couple of these comments. I couldn't do. No, actually, I think you're going to love this.
Yeah.
I'm about to get ripped.
No, actually.
No.
We got some from our boy Josh. So Josh first says, Dan, great number 4. And then we also have Josh, also 3 minutes ago, fuck these fan questions that Dylan keeps getting. So Josh is getting a little flustered. He's
where are these fans?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where are these fans, Dylan? They're not on Twitter. They're not on Facebook. I think you're constructing them in your imagination somehow.
They'll be on Thursday on our show. He confirmed.
They're like your Tyler. They're your Tyler Durden from Fight Club. You know, you think they're fans of yours, but really they're just you texting yourself from your mom's phone upstairs. You changed your name.
My mom's phone. No, he'll be on Thursday. He has agreed to come on if Nico will let him.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll discuss that after the show. I'm sure we can make it. Not for the whole show. We'll probably do a little segment with him like we did with Josh. All right. So yeah, we're through 4, and now we're each at the top 3. So let's start our top 3s. Dan, number 3, greatest Survivor player of all time. Who you got?
Number 3, well, I got the only person to win the game twice, Sandra. Yeah, probably you're wondering why I got 3 people traditionally ranked in the top 3 at 5, 4, and 3. I don't know. I wanted to switch it up, add a little curry to my dish that I'm cooking here. And that's why Sandra.
What they're wondering.
Yeah, I got Sandra at number 3. And now this is really hard to rank Sandra because, yeah, she's won twice. In my opinion, she's the greatest under-the-radar player of all time. And, like, there's really no flaws in her game. So when it came to, flaws in her game that have cost her so far. I think, like, she's a little too outspoken at times, but that hasn't really bitten Sandra. It's kind of more endeared her and made her a real character in the eyes of viewers and kind of with the people she's playing with. But I think it's really hard. You got to, like, kind of pick what you respect more as someone who watches the show and maybe, like, you imagine how you would play. And, you know, I love Sandra's game, but I think, like, the amount of control she exhibits in both seasons is it's minimal. She's a real, like, roll with the punches type player, the best to play. You know, like, she embodies the anybody but me. She kind of gets credited for that. I don't know if she's the first one to actually say that, but, you know, she gets credited for that. And that strategy, you know, I'd rather, like, have her ranked at 3 than rank her at 1 and just be like, oh, because she won twice, I'm ranking her at 1. So here she is at 3 because she won twice.
All right, fair enough. I mean, you can't really. It's hard to keep Sandra out of the top 3 of any of these lists with her. I mean, she does win twice. and whether or not she had complete or total control or really a lot of control, she always found a way to get herself out of harm's way. She always found a way to sneak through to the next round, and in the end, I mean, the game it's an individual game, and however you can find your way into that end without pissing people off, you got to give her some kudos for that. Josh says, are these fans of Dylan real Survivor fans, or are they only watching for Dylan? I think they're fans. Josh. I think Josh is a little flustered right now. He got called out. I'm getting called out on the show.
They are new Survivor fans, so I'm making new people fans of Survivor, which I think is a good thing. So.
He is a Survivor missionary.
Yes, I am. I'll be with you, Josh. I'll forgive you.
All right, so Dylan, do you want to give your number 3?
Yeah. People might say that it was too high. I have Richard Hatch. I think he has to be rated high. Just because, like, the original Survivor, the first person to ever make alliances, like, played a great strategic game that first season, even though you might call me hypocritical about, like, oh, well, he played against people who didn't know how to play. Well, no one knew how to play at that time, so he was the first player to really figure out the game and really figure out how to play it to his benefit. And I think that any top 10 list without Richard Hatch is incomplete. And the only controversy I might cause is having him number 3 rather than maybe later. But I think he's earned that spot.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw any hate at a Richard Hatch pick. I'm a huge Richard Hatch fan. He's always great. Every time I've listened to him on a podcast, he's always been great. He really understands the game. I think if he came back, and I think if he played in today's game as a first-time player, I think he would do well. I don't know if he would do well in a return play in terms of overall, just because of his reputation. I don't know how well he would do if he came back for any kind of all-star season. But I think if he came back as a first-time player, I think his understanding of people, his understanding of what the game is on par with the greats. And I think anytime you put Richard Hatch in a first-time situation, I think the guy's going to go deep because he's not a big challenge threat. He's very much a people person, and he's very confident, and his confidence is probably his biggest flaw. But at the same time,
let's remember what game they're playing too. Like when they first started playing, people were being voted out because they couldn't contribute to the group surviving on the island. So for in a vacuum, Richard Hatch was one of the most valuable people on that season for their tribe.
Absolutely, and I was reading through that article in the Survivor CBS magazine that they released for the 30 seasons last year, right around Worlds Apart when that was coming out, and it was the CBS Watch magazine, and they were talking about that first season, and I remember reading them saying, talking about how they really, really wanted Rudy to win because he was going to be the best ambassador for the show. And then when Rudy goes off in Final 3, they're like, all right, well, at least Kelly's still here, and Kelly's going to win. And then Richard goes on to win. And I think they weren't sure how it was going to be received. And I think in the long term, I think Richard Hatch winning ended up being the best thing for Survivor because it really set the tone for what the game was going to be. And I think they got a winner more that they wanted in Tina in Season 2, and even Ethan in 3 because they got some people that didn't play the kind of villain role that won the game. But I really think that Richard Hatch ends up being the best winner for Survivor in that first season, and really set the tone for all the seasons to come in terms of this is a game, and you got to come out and you got to play. So I'm never going to throw any heat at Richard Hatch. I think Richard Hatch is a phenomenal player, and just in terms of respect, you got to give it to him. We got a tweet from @RobsTabooBuzzer saying, Hatch can never be high enough, just like @DanBall44. #Buzz. I'm just gonna smile and chuckle at that.
We don't condone the use of illegal substances on this podcast, guys. So I don't know what Rob's Taboo Buzzer's getting at, but I live a what's that thing? Straight edge. I'm straight edge. Yeah.
You are not
straight edge, clean cut, white collar kind of guy.
Yep, I'm straight edge.
Josh, and Josh says great number 3, Dylan. So Josh is giving you some love.
Oh, thank you, Josh.
Always nice to see. It's a rare occurrence. So Dan, did we already do your number 3? I'm losing track at this point.
We did. It was Sandra.
You did. You did Sandra. As you can see, this has been a long podcast, and my brain is about gone. Yeah. So Dylan, let's get your number 2. Yeah.
I got Parvati.
Parvati. All right.
I think it's a solid pick. First season, not that. She made top 5, I believe, was her final placement on the season. So not terrible.
Was it 5? I can't remember now.
6. She went out at
Was it
6th, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Who was 5 then? I'm trying to remember. Was it Adam?
Adam Gentry.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But I think, all right, yeah, it's fine. So it's top 6, which is not bad. That's a solid first-time performance. Got called back for an All-Star season. Essentially, what was basically an All-Star season almost. Won, which I think definitely gets bonus points, and then came back for another All-Star season and got 2nd place, which also gives her bonus points. She, despite being such a I think in Heroes vs. Villains, she was such a huge threat, and I was like, oh, you gotta watch out for Parvati. Like she's a fucking seductress and a temptress and a dangerous bitch. But she evaded all that and made good alliances and was in the minority. And even though Russell helped her out a lot, she was playing her own individual game. She wasn't playing Russell's game, as we saw several times throughout the entire show. And even by the last 3 episodes, she was in the driver's seat more than Russell, I think, was. And just her great performance on her 2nd season winning, that definitely garners her a top 2 finish for me. Even though, I mean, she could have. I'm not gonna hate too much on Dan's 4 ranking just because, I can see how you might put her at 4. I'll have to see who he has at 1 or 2 just to see if it's justified. Because, I don't know who he's gonna put there now. I mean, not many people left to put at 1 and 2, so he's kind of Dan's gone very non-traditional in the rankings.
I've got an idea of who his top 2 are. I've got a very good feeling.
Now, it might be the one I forgot to put on my fucking list. But
no, I think you've had them both.
You've had them both.
Oh, good.
I think I know who they are.
Yeah, Nico he knows me pretty well at this point.
Yeah. All right, I got it. I figured it out. Overrated, but all right, yeah. Let's go to Dan's number 2.
All right, at number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry, Nico.
Yep, go ahead.
Dylan took your hosting duties away from you there.
Yeah, Dylan, add a line again. I'm gonna mute you.
But he does kind of resemble Mr. Snugglesworth a little bit, so I guess we can let it slide. Well, there's Mr. Snugglesworth. Got to get him on once.
Always by my side. What's up, Snuggles? All right, go ahead.
Right.
Who's your number 2?
So number 2, I got my boy, probably one of my favorites, Tony Vlachos. One of a kind. You might say Tony's game is broken. Tony's game doesn't work for everyone. You're right. Tony's game only works for Tony. That's what makes him such a great player. I don't think people say, hey, Picasso, what the fuck was that guy painting? No, that guy revolutionized a whole different genre of art. Same with Tony. He showed us how we could really play. He had a god idol, but I don't know if he ever revealed its godlike powers to everyone. And that idol bluff saying he could play his idol at 4, I don't know. That's great in my opinion. Why not lie and say you can play something that you can't play at all? It's useless, right? Tony's kind of like, he's self-contained. He's in his own category as a player, and it's all where you, how much you value the chaos that comes with his game and what he kind of brings to the beach. I think he's someone if you throw him out there again, he might get shot at first, but I'm lucky he's only played once, and I think the first time he played, that game is brilliant. It's just something else. It's something out of this world for a Survivor player to pull off and then win. So I love that. I love Tony's win, and as a player, that's all I can rank him on. I think number 2 greatest player of all time.
Yeah, and I'd say in terms, I don't know if I'd have him that high if I was to make a list of greatest players of all time. I will say that in terms of greatest win ever to watch in Survivor history, I think Tony Vlachos wins because his game is pure insanity. Um, but I think in terms of if he ever played again, I don't think he wins. I think one of his biggest benefactors in his season was Trish. Having a player on his side and Wu, having two players on his side who, no matter what he did, they would always end up sticking by him, even after
But
he would
that's
consistently
that's
burn them.
Tony's strength. That's
Oh,
Tony's
it is,
strength as a
and Tony
player.
was
Like,
great at winning them back. But I think he also had to recognize that Trish was a very smart player, and she knew that as much as she maybe didn't want to trust Tony, she knew that she had to trust Tony in terms of a game because she knew that she couldn't go with Cass, she couldn't go with Spencer because she wasn't going to beat Spencer. She might beat Cass, but she also hates Cass with a fiery passion, so that just wasn't going to happen. But I think having players like Trish and like Wu, like Lou, who just has blind loyalty to whoever he was with, and Trish, who I think was a very smart player. I don't think Trish. I don't think he can pull that off. And he had a perfect meat shield with him that he took to the end, which you can give him credit to in Spencer, where Spencer was always going to be the person to go off before Tony, because Spencer had the better story and the underdog role. So I agree. I give Tony a lot of credit, and I think he's definitely. I'd say a top 15. I don't even know if I'd have him top 10. I think he's really close. Or I say I'd have him in the 9 to 12 range, if in my rankings. But I mean, in terms of entertainment value, he's got to be top 2 or 3, if not number 1.
I don't know. What else do you want from the guy, man? He's in the majority, and then he plays a Rob Cesternino-like game from inside the majority, and he wins. I think that's kind of, I don't know. I think, like, we're going back to, like, what do you cherish a little more? Do you cherish control, chaos, under the radar? I don't know. They're all different genres of the same type.
We got some feedback from Josh. Dan's top 2 players are on point. He hasn't given his top 1. I think he's just making the assumption, though. Dan is the effing man, greatest podcaster of all time. That is from Josh.
Yeah. The greatest.
We got a tweet from @BK.
Dan panders to fools.
Yeah.
I don't pander. Those are my opinions. I just happen to be plugged into what the people are thinking. I get people. I think that's why I'd be a better Survivor player than you, Dylan. I relate to people better. I'm more of a people person.
Let us not forget that I finished 4th place and you finished.
No one cares about that. No one cares about that. Yeah, that's make believe. The Tin Man and the Wizard love that game.
What the fuck?
We got a tweet from @BKEMAND. I still believe that if Sandra played a 3rd time, she'd probably win again because people still wouldn't think she's a threat. Yeah, so I mean,
I kind of agree with them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If Sandra came back, I wouldn't be surprised if she did end up going to the end again. If she's on a tribe that's not winning a lot of challenges early on, I mean, I don't know. I could see Sandra winning again. It seems insane, but I mean, I could see it. So that was Dan's number 2. Dylan, you didn't give your number 2, correct?
Yeah, I did. You tweeted.
And I am way out of it today. My brain is fried. Oh yes, you did, because you said Parvati. So Dan, let's go into your number 1 then, because I'm clearly gonna lose my mind from the end of this podcast.
All right, number 1. No, it's not Richard Hatch, Dylan. I don't have him. I got him as an honorable mention. I got the only person to play what I perceive to be a perfect game in their first season. And Dylan, you already had them ranked terribly low. I got Kim motherfucking Spradlin, y'all. Yeah, shower me with applause and your praise. I love Kim as a player. What can you say as a character? I don't think she's the most terribly interesting player to play. She's not setting our screens on fire with her antics each week. But
But she can
Yeah,
tell you
this
what
is
kind of animal you'd be.
pretty much. I think Kim, the amount of control she exhibits in one world is kind of unreal. Yeah, you can say she's playing against some of them are cannon fodder.
Like
Tarzan, I don't know, Nico.
17 of them.
I don't know. I think Tarzan's a better player than you give him a little credit for. He's not great, but he was. I think he was okay.
I will say I actually enjoy Tarzan. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a complete goofball.
He was not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a great Survivor
he's
player.
smart.
I'm thinking he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I think Tarzan was like one of those Big Tom type characters where he kind of knew a little more than he always let on.
Smarter than he looked.
Yeah. Not in the Keith mold. I don't know if we'd compare him to Keith, but maybe
Keith is a legend in his own.
Yeah. But no. Okay. I don't know. I'd rather just say I have Kim at 1, and then you guys bring your hate on, and I'll defend it if you have any.
I mean, I already said why Kim should be 6, so I got nothing more to say. Like the biggest travesty is that you put Vecepia in over Richard Hatch or anyone else that are on my honorable mention list. That's the flaw.
It's not a flaw. It's like, what do I respect more? Richard Hatch played twice, right? Vecepia only played once. I saw Richard Hatch get voted out, I believe, 5th in that season or 4th. I can't remember.
Yeah, 5th.
Yeah, I mean,
so I can't erase that from my memory, Dylan. I can't pretend like it didn't happen. He didn't make a jury or a merge the second time he played. If he is in the top 10, he'd make the merge, right? Like Sandra won twice.
Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of asterisks that need to go in Survivor All-Stars.
He did so well the first season that they couldn't afford to have him come like he did so well they couldn't afford to let him get any farther. Like
I think the one thing you have to look at in All-Stars is that none of the winners made the merge. So unless you want to say that all the winners actually weren't that good, I think you just have to kind of look at it and just say that none of those winners or top couple players had a chance. I mean, the finalists were Rob and Amber, and you know, Rob doesn't even make the jury. Amber barely makes the jury. Rupert is like 7th place. Jen is like, the final 4 is all like 7th place and higher. I mean, Big Tom is the highest ranking player in the final 5. You know, that All-Star season was complete and total. Screw the winners. They had their chance. They already won theirs. We're here for ours. And they ganged up on him.
Yeah. Like, I can definitely see the point for Kim being like ranked higher than what I have her.
Oh, I have no quarrels with him having him at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I didn't want to go with I didn't want to bandwagon it. Like, yeah, everyone says, oh, Kim's underranked or whatever. Like, not like, but she didn't play with that great of people. Like, it was a clusterfuck, and she was just the sanest person out there. Like, yeah, she played a good game, good enough to be number 6 of all time. She's played the best game of all time of every single Survivor player ever. No, because I have the real number 1 player of all time at my number 1.
No, it's Kim.
And we will jump into that in 1 second, but first let's get some feedback on Dan's number 1 pick.
People are loving it.
Probably that's kind of how it works on this show. Tony winning despite burning multiple people proves he played an amazing game. Also, Dan is a fucking god. Deb Sappy, boring winner, but understand why you have her ranked at the top of the list. And let's see if we've got anything going on Twitter. It says we've got notifications.
Yep.
Stand in line. I would be in line. I would line this to be in the Kim Spradlin Colts. All right. Rob Taboo Buzzer said he would be in the Kim Spradlin Colt.
Kim Spradlin.
He posted a picture of him and Kim Spradlin.
He's so hot.
Holding the Taboo Buzzer. Cool.
I totally thought that was a pickle.
Yep.
Let's Photoshop this picture.
Let's not.
No, let's not, Dylan.
I give you
We're gonna have any Survivor guests because they're gonna be afraid you're gonna like sexually harass them or something.
This is why we had to go back to Dan Foley. People
these
started
are-
watching our podcast, and we're like, okay, we're not going on that show.
That
We've
was
become the Dan Foley of Survivor podcast, guys. What is that?
Great, but it's the greatest casting of all time.
Yep,
Nothing
you're
else.
right.
Greatest
You're right.
characters.
And why did you already negatively connotate what I said to something bad?
We met you.
All right, good call.
Yeah.
All right, so Cam Spradlin, number 1 for you. All right, Dylan, who's your number 1? Let's wrap this up before I die.
I have the only 2-time winner in Survivor history, Sandra. That trumps. Winning twice trumps everything else.
Boring.
I don't. It might be boring, but that trumps. Like, especially Heroes versus Villains. I think she played a really good game. It had a really good story to tell at the end. Her story, she got her lines got eliminated. She wanted to flip to the Heroes. They wouldn't let her. She begged them, "Let me flip to you. Let me help you take out Russell." They wouldn't let her. They ended up taking out all the Heroes. She laughs. She beats Russell Parvati. Boom. Greatest player all time. Right there. What a
I
story!
can't disagree with you much.
Yeah, I got no quarrels with it. I kind of figured. I already had the tweet prepped up with Sandra and Cam in the top about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I kind of figured who you guys' number 1s were as we were going.
Damn. But Taboo Buzzer has met a lot of survivors.
Holy shit! Yeah, well, I'm not even gonna count all those, but there's a lot of survivors on there.
Yeah, I looked at that picture the other day when he started following us. He's got quite a few, and they're all holding the buzzer, I believe.
They're all holding the buzzer. We'll have to get on that list someday. We'll have to get Taboo Buzzer. We'll have to get our hands on that someday. So number 1. So really quick, let's get into some honorable mentions. Dan, we're on you. We were on Dylan, but I'm switching to Dan because I do whatever the fuck I want.
I'll go.
So Dan, who's your honorable mentions?
I got kind of like a list of candidates I kind of chose from here, so I'll say a few off them. I got like Denise Stapley, Mike from last season. I got Russell Hantz on there. I got Richard Hatch. I think we never mentioned Tom Westman, really good player. And for other players, I got Sophie Clark. I think is a little underrated.
Oh, here comes the
Kathy Maverick O'Brien, Cochran, and then rounded out with Yul Kwan, he's a good player, kind of gets forgotten a little bit about in the annals of Survivor history.
Gotta love the annals of Survivor history,
Yeah.
Got a little feedback on the comments. Josh says Dylan is the Dan Foley of podcasting, and Dan is Sesternino 2.0.
Woo! Damn, I'm getting ripped here.
Deb Sappy says Buzz is the best. Yes, we thoroughly enjoy having Buzz as a fan of the show. He's been giving us some great tweets. So much love to Rob's Taboo Buzzer. Dylan, let's hear about your honorable mentions.
I only have 2 that I wanted to honorably mention. The one I wanted to put on, and honestly, I don't know who I would have bumped. Like, probably
Steve Chicken Morris.
Probably Russell. Russell would have got bumped most likely. Mike Holloway. I thought he played really good last season. Would have been my number 10 instead of Russell. And then Yul. Definitely agree Yul is underrated. Well, maybe I don't know. The idol he had was pretty powerful, so they gave him a huge advantage, and like he could like fucking threaten people with it. So he was pretty much immune for the whole season. So,
for sure, he was.
But he was good, but he also did a lot of maneuvering to keep his alliance intact.
I would say, I mean, you have to remember Terry Dees also had that idol, and he didn't win the game. So you still got to have the ability to do what you did. And I mean, obviously, you'll get into that final. He's got a final 3, and Exile Island's a final 2, and that final challenge was not designed for Terry Dees.
No.
He could not stay on that thing, that last little whatever the heck you want to call it,
Lily pad.
the platform, yeah, the lily pad in the water. He couldn't stay up on that thing, which is unfortunate. I think if Terry won that season, I think that season is even more well remembered. Over Aris. I have nothing against Aris, but I think if Terry wins that season, I think Terry's considered one of the better winners of Survivor. Because he was a very popular character, and I mean you see that because he got brought back again. He was a big player in his time, but I mean I think I love Yul. I thought he's a really really good player, and yeah he had the God Idol. But like I said, I think Terry also had the God Idol and he couldn't win. But then you could also say well Tony also had it and he did win.
Yeah.
So it's interesting with that idol. I'm hoping they just don't bring it back again. There's no need. I think we've seen the God Idol enough in Survivor. We got Duncan favored in some tweets. What's up, Duncan? He's been favored in some stuff through at Andrew Duncan 33. Big Survivor fan. He's been favored in a lot of our stuff tonight. So just wanted to shout you out. Yeah, so that's our final 10. Those are our greatest top 10s. Hope you guys enjoyed the little bit twist that we did this week. It was kind of a thing that we started talking about over the weekend. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had fun doing it. It was kind of a last-second thing that they put the list together this morning, I believe.
5:30.
So, right before the show.
I did mine while I was supervising a group of 8-year-olds. So there you go.
Well, my grandma's calling me, so I'm gonna have to call her back.
She a big fan of the show?
I don't think so. I don't know if my grandma knows what the internet is.
Also, no one correctly guessed what was in my cup, so no one
got it right.
I thought we determined that it was in fact piss.
No, it was whiskey. Everyone, whiskey in my cup.
Also known as jellyfish sting cure, or I don't know. I'm tired. I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Cut them off.
We're losing you, Nico.
My brain is done. I didn't sleep much last night. There was way too much Halo 5 in my past 24 hours. I think I'll have to go to bed early tonight because I got to work tomorrow. So yeah, let's wrap up the show. Everyone who did watch the show, again, thank you for watching. Going through the comments one more time, make sure there's no other comments that we missed. I don't want to miss out on anybody that was tweeting at us, messaging us. Deb Sappy says, thanks, guys. Enjoyed your insights. Josh says the Halloween podcast has potential to be podcast gold. I agree. Let's just jump into that Halloween podcast on Thursday. We will be having our Halloween podcast / our recap podcast, and we will have once again at Chicks Dig Me, Dan Foley back on the podcast. And what better time to have him back than at yet another tribe swap? So at the very least, we will have Dan on to once again talk about the tribe swap for 3 hours. So this should be fun. So with that, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. This Thursday's show is going to be a late one. It'll be 7 PST, 10 Eastern time. So it'll be a late show. Hopefully you guys can tune in. Dan was great last time we had him on. He's really excited. I talked to him this morning. And he confirmed right before the show, so he's excited to come back on the show. He's ready to bring the heat. So tune in Thursday. We'll have the post up and ready to go. Send in your questions now for Dan. The earlier we get them in, the easier we can get them to him. So send us your questions at islandtalkwnh@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Twitter. And I'll take questions there as well. Also, you can leave them in the YouTube comments, or you can just tweet them at us directly through the Island Talk page or through one of our direct tweets. Dan, you want to give out your Twitter again real quick?
Yeah, it's at DanBall44, and tweet me what you think our next top 10 should be. That's what I want to hear.
Okay.
And next time we got to do something like this.
For sure. Dylan, Twitter.
What is my Twitter? Is it at dwalls09? I think
that is in fact what it is.
Yeah, you're feeling the whiskey all of a sudden, eh, buddy?
You can tweet to me, what should Dylan drink at the Halloween podcast?
Oh yeah, I think we should all get hammered on that podcast. Make it an old Halloween party.
Dylan, will you be wearing your manties?
I'm not going as Dan Foley. I'm sorry, everyone. I already have a costume.
Everybody tweet at dwall09 and convince him to dress up as Dan Foley for the podcast on Thursday. We are going to peer pressure the crap out of this guy until he does it.
Oh my
Yeah.
And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at the Wisdom Pickle on Twitter. It is a private account, but I accept pretty much everybody. And you can also follow us at Island Talk WNH. I will post it up here on the screen.
Nico froze.
So that's Island Talk.
Oh yeah, we're gonna kill some time here, me and Dylan, while Nico's frozen in the left corner of her screen. What do you want to talk about, Dylan? How about your local sports team?
Well, the hometown South St. Paul Packers are going to the state tournament.
I don't know what the heck just happened.
You're still frozen to the left of us. I see your face.
I know. I don't know what happened. I was going into the screenshot, and all of a sudden my browser just shut down.
Oh boy.
I have no idea what just happened. I know. I still shows that I'm still there, which I mean is good because then the show stayed up. I was afraid the show just ended abruptly.
Dylan filled the air about his local sports team.
Scared the crap out of me. I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what happened. That was bizarre. But yeah, so I'm not going to even bother trying to screen share. But yeah, so follow us at Island Talk WNH. Between myself and Ben, who helps manage the page, we usually try to get back to everybody as quickly as possible. So if you message us, we'll get back to you. Dev says, really quick, question for Dan. Monica suggests Survivor producers played a role in her exit. Thoughts?
Yeah, I read that article. I don't know. To me, it's Monica being a little bitter. I don't really think, like, I could see maybe, like, the producers being, like, to Kimmy, like, maybe not persuading her, but maybe, like, planting a little bit of a seed, or maybe just speaking a little lowly of Monica in confessional, like, the way they asked her questions. But Monica kind of made it sound like she thought production planted the whole idea of getting rid of Monica into Kimmy's head, and I don't think that's the case. I kind of find that hard to believe.
It would be interesting, you know, second chances for producers too. Second chance to piss off a young female lawyer by getting by influencing others to vote her off.
They inceptioned everyone. They had Leo go into everyone's fucking dreams and vote Monica out. Yeah, the producers got you, Monica.
I think it wasn't Leo. I think they had Cowboy. Cowboy. He was giving them in the spot right on their foreheads. The indicator. They had the indicators on their heads, and that's how you knew they had been incepted.
I don't think production had anything to do with it. She was on Twitter, on Periscope, insinuating that, though. She was like, because production doesn't influence anything.
To vote her out and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she was kind of being a poor loser.
Yeah, fuck Monica. She's out of my top 10.
Yeah, Dylan's personal feelings for Monica drastically changed after her boot episode.
Yeah, we won't tell you what top 10 he's referring about either. It's not the power rankings.
No, there's some power in his rankings. All right, we're gonna shut this podcast down. So everyone, like I said, just join us on Thursday. We'll have at Dan Foley. Actually, it's at Chicks Day Me with Dan Foley. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific time. Thanks for everyone who joined us tonight. We had fun, and we'll see you all on Thursday. All right.
Peace.
Pieces.